every single time negative words come out. These words are like toxic, frustrating, dangerous, demotivating, draining, unfair, unnecessary. One person even said to me, office politics are for incompetent people because they don't have anything important to say. For anything, if you think of them as toxic, unfair, or even unethical, how could any one of us want to get ourselves involved in it? For about 10 years, I worked as a director for a large and global organization. Through these years, I always refused to play in office politics, and I was rather proud of it. I often tell people I don't have time for all of that kind of stuff. Politics are dreadful, they're dangerous, and they're a complete waste of time. I am just simply too straightforward and too honest to be engaged in office politics. I don't come to work to play games. I come here to learn, perform, and deliver. Does that sound familiar to you as well? Well, okay, now I'm gonna tell you my experience. Giving my approach, even though my performance review has always been exceeding expectation according to my managers in my performance review, it is not surprising at all that I stayed in the middle management without any promotion for a good 8 years. There I was, seeing many of my peers who are equally high performing got promoted to vice president, senior vice president, or other executive roles. I was frustrated that year after year I stayed at where I was. So if the reason that I was not promoted is not because of my performance, my commitment, or my culture fit, then what was it? It was because that I had neglected to shape relationships with people who had the power to advocate for me. This experience, the learning, made me realize that my head in the sand approach need to change. It was high time that I become a little more politically intelligent at work. I should have spent much more time in managing up. I should have better managed decision makers, my manager, my leadership brand image, and my own career. Rather than being stuck at my desk and delivering great work. Well, that's important as well, but that's just not enough. I also need to network with the most influential executives and ensure that my contribution will also noticed by those above me, and also confirming that I was being perceived as an executive suite material. Managing a career in these ways is so important, but surprisingly, most people just don't do it. Later on, I did reach the career success I always wanted. I did climb to the top of the ladder, but there were also so many opportunities that I have missed as a result of my lack of education around office politics. This is not a subject that is taught in business school or given in leadership trainings, despite the fact that it is just a must to survive or even thrive in every working environment. So if you want to advance to senior executive roles from middle management, and if you think it's possible to do so without engage yourself in office politics, you might want to learn the truth now. In this video, I'll share 4 of the biggest myths about office politics. In case you are new to this channel, hello, my name is Tiffany Cheng. I'm the former communication vice president of the Volvo Group and Atlas Copco Group. Now, I help middle management in large organizations get top leadership positions through influence so that they can make more impact, more feel more accomplished and fulfilled. So if you want more content on this topic, be sure to subscribe to this channel and click the bell button to be notified when I post new videos every single week. I also want to let you know the free masterclass 6 steps to advance from middle management to senior leadership roles, even if you don't have the opportunity, is still open. If you want to learn more about fast-tracking your career from middle to top management, or if you want to apply and join the 1% Academy program, be sure to stick around to the very end of this video for announcement how you can join both. Now, myth number 1 is politics don't affect your job performance or career advancement. We all want to believe that the world is fair. Nowadays, with social media and LinkedIn, it's even more convenient for us to believe that if we just show our hard work, the result, our performance, everyone will see it. We often say to ourselves, I'm not into office politics. My work should do the talk. Well, I want to share the perspective from Kamala Harris, who is the vice chairman of Morgan Stanley. This is what she said. Don't let your work talk for you. Work doesn't talk. Because it is people who talk, and we need to talk about our work, and we need other people to talk about our work as well. When I say talk about your work, I don't just mean list out what you do and how busy you are. It's about explaining how your work is making a difference in the organization and why it is even important to do this work. Now, this myth that politics don't affect your job performance or career advancement came from a few sources. The number one source is CEO biographies and leadership advice. Now, when CEO and successful executives talk about how they got to the top in their bio or in the interviews they give, they want to paint a positive image so that they often make the past experience sound rosy. Often they skip how they strategically maneuvered the stakeholders and their colleagues to climb the ladder to the top. As a result of these influence, we often hold ourselves back from using tactics that could actually help us to advance. And on the contrary, we even label people who excel at these politics as unethical, unpleasant, without realizing that we could learn from their communication, the way they network, and their career strategies. Now, rising leaders like you deserve more realistic, honest, and transparent advice. When I become the senior executive later on, and we review hundreds, sometimes thousands of rising talent in our company, and I often see that the most intelligent and hardest working individuals were not always the ones who move up the ladder. The second source where we got this perception about performance and skill is enough to succeed at workplace is actually from school. We tend to think how we treat at work is like how we are treated at school. In school, we usually quite straightforward that if we study hard and then we master the subject, we'll get good grades, we get recognition, and we're rewarded. But this doesn't work so well in the workplace. Thinking this way is a risk and a mistake because in the real world of work, contribution that goes unnoticed have little to no value. So what I'm saying here is you need to pay more attention to interpersonal relationships and office dynamics. In the book Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, it clearly highlights the benefits of understanding social psychology, how emotion, framing, recognition can lead to behavior change and influence big decisions. Focusing on your performance, the credibility built through your performance and result is important, but it's not enough. It won't likely to get you to the success, to the executive level you are looking for here. Whether even you are looking for a bonus or promotion or recognition from higher up, you need to be engaged in office politics and dedicating your time to your networks, forming connections that can bring you these achievements. And this is not a distraction from the real responsibilities. In fact, this is one of the most critical parts of it. Myth number 2, if you are an ethical person, you should stay away from playing politics. Well, I've spoken with over 200 directors from many Fortune 500 companies in the past 5 months. When I ask them to describe office politics, every single time, negative words come out. These words are like toxic, frustrating, dangerous, demotivating, draining, unfair, unnecessary. One person even said to me, office politics are for incompetent people because they don't have anything important to say. For anything, if you think of them as toxic, unfair, or even unethical, how could any one of us want to get ourselves involved in it? In other words, if we are a fair person, we're an ethical person, we should stay away from these politics. Well, this myth comes from an incomplete view of what office politics really are. Sure, office politics can be used for good or for bad things, but at its core, they are just a range of informal, behind-the-scenes discussions and actions that happens in all organizations. It's about people positioning themselves, their interest, their team, and their priorities to get things done. Now, let's say there is a budget planning meeting coming up, and the company's management team need to decide how to allocate budgets to different projects, including yours and your team. If you are good at politics, you will realize that to get your project approved and get more budget allocated, you should first understand the priorities, the viewpoints of these decision makers, and you need to connect with them beforehand. Even learn what they want, why it's important for them, so you can present your proposal more persuasively. And this is how office politics can authentically help you gain an advantage. But of course, destructive and negative politics also exist. Imagine that if you are to give a negative and untrue reference for a team member just to stop them from getting that promotion, that is rather unethical use of politics. The mistake most people make is we mix all political activities all together. When we do this, we miss the chance for positive politics. These are completely ethical and suitable actions that helps you to strengthen your supportive relationships and increase this influence of yours and build a strong foundation that makes you and your team much more effective. And you want to ask yourself these critical questions. Are you just flattering other people, or are you genuinely working on creating and collaborating? Do you feel annoyed by having several small meetings and chats before a big formal one? Do you recognize the value in being ready and laying out the foundation, aligning with others, and giving your proposal a stronger chance to get approved and correctly budgeted? Do you also see informal chats as manipulative or unethical, or do you see them as crucial research, you collecting the useful insight so that you understand the context and stakeholder dynamics? When you are saying, I don't play politics, it's usually not about the action itself, but about the motivation behind this action and the way you give a meaning to it. We human beings naturally put more effort into things that we label as positive, significant, and compared to those ones that we find we don't like it, right? And we find them distasteful. On the other side, if you are so deeply negative about office politics, you can't change your attitude towards it, then you can label it differently. Instead, tell yourself, I'm nurturing strategic relationship with my stakeholders. I am expanding my circle of support. Now, as soon as you label politics differently, you view these activities as valuable. They are critical, and you are willing to invest time and energy in them. If you resonate with this, hit that like button. And next myth is politics will disappear in hybrid working environment. Well, virtual work is not really new, but the pandemic have certainly made it a norm for many companies, and most of us have somewhat settled into the routine by going into the office 2 to 3 days a week, but with fewer colleagues around. So most of our work discussion now happens on places like Microsoft Teams or Zoom. So what's the deal with the office politics now? Are the old rules still valid? Can we expect less favorism and more fair talent management? Is hybrid working and technology making us focus purely on our performance, and we can get rid of informal connections and behind-the-scenes influence? Well, what I can say is that even without physical office, thinking office politics will go away is a bit naive. It's like our company culture, right? It doesn't go away because now employees are working at home. Office politics is the same, they stick around. And there are researchers show that office politics might ease up a little bit with the virtual setting, but there's really no proof that they will just disappear. Think about it, this is actually our human nature. We like informal side of things rather than formal protocols. And this can go both ways, of course, positive or negative, but it's a solid part of our human nature, no matter what environment we are in. So what are your opportunities now with the hybrid working setup? First, remote work has changed how we connect at work. It is actually a chance for you to reshape how you connect with your manager and your coworkers, especially if you have not really been savvy at office politics before. You want to take a moment now to think if your manager have any reason before, right or wrong, to question your competence or your commitment to deliver. Now with the hybrid shift, will let you set clear expectations for performance and communication. If you are very clear about how often and how your manager want update, you've got a shot at exceeding his or her expectations and prove your dedication and your competence. Now, I'd like you to also consider the social side of things. Perhaps other people have been spending more time in building personal relationships while you keep yourself a distance. Now the pandemic have reset the things, and it actually opened a door for you to form deeper connections even if you haven't tried it before. What you can try now is to set up regular catch-up calls and show your genuine interest in other people's well-being, in how they are doing in their work, and see this as your opportunity and your chance. The second opportunity with virtual working is result and the performance become more important. We all have these colleagues who talk big but deliver small. Now, thankfully, it is much more difficult for them to do that online. They cannot use casual moments like coffee breaks, lunch breaks, or post-work chats to push their own personal agenda. In the world of back-to-back virtual meetings, it's quite difficult to brag. I mean, a virtual setup will let your work stand out more than your words. The third opportunity is virtual work lets you diversify your network easily. Nowadays, most companies have an international reach where remote work is actually a chance for you to broaden your reach. You can connect with people globally. Perhaps before you will only do so when you physically travel to somewhere during one of your business meetings. But this virtual shift breaks the habit of us rely only on those physically close to us, those people who sit next to us in the same office setup. It gives us a fair chance to collaborate with diverse colleagues and business partners from different geographical locations and different cultures. It's actually a chance to expand your network. You want to set up one-on-one chats, share interesting articles, or just drop an email to check in your colleagues, while most of your other coworkers unintentionally create narrow network and filled with familiar face from their own division or function. You can now make your network stronger by focusing on diversified connection. Those colleagues who aren't just like you or working on the subject similar like yours. You want to build bridges with colleagues or people, business partners from other part of the world. It's an advantage that can set you apart for a very long run. Now, myth number 4 is political intelligence is for extroverts and therefore sales and marketing people. While some introverts, like myself, we might look at politically savvy individuals and assume that politics are for extroverted colleagues and for sales and marketing people because they are great speakers and they also seem to be less busy in their jobs. But my response to this is always the same. While the skills behind political intelligence might come across natural to some people, they are still skills. These are not something you are born with. Even the people who are in sales marketing, they are not born to be good in sales and marketing. It's something they've gradually developed as a skill, right? For you, it's the same. They are something you can practice and master as well, just like any other skills. Now, you might be thinking, are you suggesting that on top of everything I need to do, now I need to also find time and energy to focus on relationships, be strategic about my allies and sponsors, influence stakeholders to boost my influence and impact, and then to use all of that to advance my career forward? Well, my answer is yes, you are correct. Yes, it does require purpose, focus, and practice, and with time, it will become a second nature of yours. Now, I would like you to shift your mindset if you are this person who think my biggest achievement this week is I created an outstanding presentation PowerPoint. Or if you are the person who think my most proud month is where I hit all my KPIs. Yes, the performance is still important, but so is the political side of things. I would also like you to think about the flip side. Now, you continue to neglect to nurture your network, neglect to build your personal brand, and skip all the strategies that political savvy people use. How would you feel by the end of your career you never reached your full potential? Or even worse, how would you feel that whenever there's a demotion or layoff happen, you are always the one being impacted? Maybe there's a lesson for you to learn here. Now, I would like you to keep in mind that navigating office dynamics on your terms, and you want to understand how to achieve your goal without compromising your integrity. Because playing office politics correctly doesn't just help you individually when you are rising up in the corporate ladder, start to lead team, lead business. It will benefit your colleagues, your team, and even the function, the business unit you are leading, because you rely on you to do your best. We have a specific process in the 1% Academy program to help middle management get their senior leadership positions through influence. And if you want to learn more about it, I'd encourage you to watch the free masterclass to find out my 6 steps to advance from middle to top management. In the free masterclass, I show you the detailed steps myself and all my clients use to become the top 1% in a company in terms of their impact and income, with the right process and the right order, so you know where to exactly go from here to the next senior level. You can sign up at inspiremyday.org/masterclass. Or if you want to submit your application to the 1% Academy program and get coached by me, click the link below in the description and book a free strategy call with me. For now, I'll leave you this video to find out the 4 rules of communicating with senior executive. I'll see you there.